again. In this video, we're going to talk about how to coach consistent performers. These are the employees that we all have on our team who don't really want to promote and aren't all that interested in growing, but they're solid performers. In this video, we'll talk about how to best coach these employees and keep them engaged in their performance. We'll learn how to identify these employees, determine how to leverage their abilities, and talk about strategies to help maintain their consistent performance. So these are folks on the team who just stay straight in their performance. There's really no peaks or valleys in their performance. They're just consistent. They typically really love what they do. They love their team. They love their clients or customers or whomever it is they engage with. And they just love to work. They like to do what they do every day. They don't want to grow. They don't want more responsibility. They don't want to get promoted. They typically like to be recognized for their accomplishments through their salary or through achieving goals or whatever opportunities there are for them to earn their income. But these are people who are really the heart of your team. In the last video, we talked about the people who ascend, those folks who are really eager to promote, and how they leave. And when they leave, it creates holes for you. And during the time that you are hiring and developing someone new, and them actually performing, there can be quite a space in between that time frame. And so your average performers, your consistent performers, are the ones who always help keep the team steady. They keep performance steady. They keep culture steady. These are the folks who are typically the unspoken leaders on your team. So they sort of have a wisdom that everybody recognizes and goes to because they've been there a long time and they do a good job and they're consistent. They know the operations of the organization really well. So they become sort of your anchor for the effectiveness of the team. We want to pay a lot of attention to these folks, right? And that's why, when we get into the next couple of discussions in this course, your consistency of practice is so essential. We have to spend as much time with them as we do with our high performers and as we do with our low performers. And sometimes these average folks, these consistent performers, can get kind of left out because we think they're fine. They're fine, they're happy, they're smiling, they're working hard, they don't need anything from me. They always do so well. But they do need something from you. They need your attention and they need your support and they need to know that you were there for them. And so if you have a coaching practice in place, you will always be there for them. So here are some things to consider with these kinds of employees. We want to make sure that we're always checking in with them. For one, right? Engagement is essential with this employee. The work itself is probably valuable to them and they like it. They also like where they get to go to work every day. We want to make sure that they stay engaged. That's what keeps them performing, right? If you think about their mindset and their skill set, an average employee or a consistent employee has the skills they need to do the job. And we want to make sure nothing triggers their thinking to change. That's where sometimes all of a sudden their performance can go down. They can get frustrated, despondent, irritated, and then that starts to impact their engagement and ultimately their outputs and their performance. The other thing about this employee we want to keep in mind is that sometimes they get a little resistant to change. They like things to stay the same. That's why they don't want more responsibility. They don't want to promote. They like consistency. So when we implement change, which at this point, right, we're implementing change almost every day, it can get to them. They can get frustrated. So we want to make sure that we always spend a little extra time with our consistent performers and helping them to negotiate change and really letting them talk out what their concerns are and making sure that we provide a little extra support or training for them if we do implement changes. Let's not assume that just because they're happy and content and perform well, that the changes are not disruptive to them. So let's give them what they need. These are your most valuable team members. They are your most and consistent and highest contributors, and they're the ones who we want to reward for their consistency, right? And we want to make sure that they know that you're supporting them. So we want to make sure that we offer them opportunities to develop. So even if they say, no, I don't really want to get promoted, we always want to give them those opportunities. So how can we help them expand their own knowledge so they have more tools to help them, whether it's a technical tool or even self-development tools, things that help them think differently or be more engaged or enjoy their living more or their working more. Sometimes folks like this like to lead small discussions with their team. They might have ideas that they want to share with people. You might invite them to take some training and come back and present what they've learned. The key here is to really connect with them and ask them, what is it that you want? How can I help you? What do you need from me? What can we look over as we look at this next year that will help you to expand who you are, not just your job or your responsibilities, but just help you in general. So these are, again, are tremendously valuable people on our team. Our consistent performers are the ones that we want to make sure stay consistent. And we want to be consistent in how much we meet with them. We want to make sure we're always keeping tabs on their engagement and ensure that if we introduce change, we pay special attention to how that might be impacting their satisfaction and their performance. And then we want to invite them to think about what other ideas do they have to help themselves develop in their current role, and how can they continue to expand their own knowledge, whether it's about work or technical skills or just for themselves as individuals. In our next video, we want to talk about what we do with those folks when they start down the line and they're not performing. How do we handle this as a manager and as a coach?